Well, students, this week we will learn something more about framing. And I have a question for you. How do you convince people that, in some circumstances, that you have the right views? How do you convince those people? Well, of course, by the power of your argument, but also the way you structure or frame your argument. This course, this subject is about framing also, and in particular about the game of framing. But if you don't understand what is this concept of framing, don't worry, I'm going to expand this topic and I'm going to give you a website for you to read more about this concept, um, and also about reframing, and how some politicians, how some people in our society play during their debates, during their speeches, during their discussions with people. Okay, you will learn what the underlying patterns are of these debates also, and how some politicians enter into their opponent's frame and often lose the debate, while others manage to reframe the debate. During this course, during this week, you will probably learn not only what politicians do in their frames, but also how everyone else uh, does. Okay, people continuously frame and are being framed in the world of international politics, but also not only in politics, but also at work and at home. So even if you're not a politician, you are a student, right? Or do not have to deal with politicians, there might be very practical takeaways for you to improve your communication. In this week specifically, we will show you, or I will show you, the main characteristics of a frame. Before we get started, however, we need to define what framing actually is. So I'm going to read from this website called CuttingEdgePR.com. I'm going to give you this link. I'm going to put it in on Schoology. Okay? It says framing can help you communicate strong messages. Framing is an important technique of focusing the attention of people within a broad context. How something is presented, the frame, okay? It is the frame. How something, how the speech, how the conversation is presented. How something is presented influences people's attitudes and opinions. Okay, and later I'm going to give you some examples uh, to illustrate this. Framing is a form of agenda setting. Okay, the process by which a communication source defines and constructs a public issue. A framing example is the War on Terror. It is not actually a war, but the term has been used, probably with the aid of audience research, by the US administration to generate support for its actions. So it is an example, the War on Terror. Framing can be conveyed through metaphor. Do you know what is a metaphor? Is a figure of speech in which we can use it to illustrate a meaning using some specific words. Okay, metaphor, to give an idea a new meaning by comparing it with something else. Stories, myth, and legends to frame a subject by anecdote in a vivid and memorable way. For instance, some managers tell and retell stories of how teamwork helped pull their organization through in tough times. Traditions, rites, rituals, and ceremonies to use the to use to define and reinforce organizational cultural values. For instance, certain activities, some humorous and some serious, traditionally done during annual strategic planning conferences. Slogans, jargon, and catchphrases to frame a subject in a memorable and familiar way. Artifacts to illuminate corporate values through objects that strike a chord with employees. For instance, a current best-selling product compared with an outmoded product from an earlier time. Contrast to describe subject in terms of what it is not. Spin to talk about a concept in a way that gives it a positive or negative connotation. So what is important here in this reading is that framing is a technique to focus the attention of people within a broad context. But look at this phrase, this line, how something is presented. The frame influences people's attitudes and opinion. This is what is important, what is really important here. How to influence people through the way we present our speech, the way we present our opinions and ideas, okay? To influence on people's attitudes. Framing is a form of agenda setting. That's why you notice some differences and similarities between the speeches of Barack Obama and Donald Trump. You know, they used a specific way to present their speech. That is the framing, okay? Framing. Now I want to illustrate this concept with this example. Pay attention, please. Suppose you are on a holiday in this house with your children, and you send one of these photographs to your parents, for example. Perhaps you would like to emphasize that the children have had a great time swimming during the holiday, and you send the top photographs, these two, okay, top photographs. But it is also possible that your parents are concerned about their their youngest grandchild. They know you have a rented holiday home with a swimming pool. You see the swimming pool here. A swimming pool here, and that your youngest child cannot swim, okay? In this case, the top photographs look dangerous, okay? Very dangerous for your child, and your parents could think many things about the ways in which their grandchild could die in this swimming pool, okay? However, you can send the bottom photograph, but if you send this photograph to your parents, the swimming pool has high slides, so it is not possible, you see, it is not possible, you see the photograph. This swimming pool has high sides, so it is not possible for a small child to fall into the water. Perhaps you have seen the top photograph in a brochure, and you decided to rent the house. Let's suppose that, okay? After all, it has a fantastic swimming pool. The house has a fantastic swimming pool, and when you arrive, the pool turned out to be much more smaller, okay? In reality, it is this way, okay? You are angry about this and send both framed photographs to your parents to show how you have been duped by the owner. So what's happening here, people? Can you answer that? What's happening here? How can you compare these three pictures, these three photographs? You see, each time the same reality is shown in a different frame. It's the same house, the same swimming pool, here, here, and here. This leads us to overinterpret or underinterpret certain aspects of reality. So in that way, framing works. It's the way you present things. So that is the concept of framing. You change the reality by presenting it in a different way. So that's why some people are experts in convincing people. When you hear Barack Obama's speech, you are convinced because the way he presents things is emotional, is reasonable. So it doesn't depend most of the times on the message itself, but the way you present the message. So in conclusion, people, we can go from pictures to language, okay? What we do with pictures, with photographs, we can do with language, okay? The words, for example, phrases, one-liners, or metaphors, different figures of speech that we use often lead to an over or under interpretation of reality. I have some other examples here. Pay attention. So, for example, we have freedom fighter and we have terrorist. We have illegal immigrant. Okay, I think there is a mistake here. It's with double M, right? Illegal immigrant next to undocumented worker. Another example, climate change, global warming, modernization, reorganization, genetic modification, genetic manipulation, a critical review, a cynical review, electromagnetic fields, electrosmoke, biofuel, ethanol. Okay? We are using the same game again and again. We use different words for the same thing, okay? Different words for the same thing. Now, take the following example. Look. In 2005, Maria crossed the border into our country illegally. Let's suppose that, okay? Maria crossed the border into our country illegally. Since then, she has been working in this country, has been promoted twice, and has had 2 children. How do we describe Maria? How could we call her? Could you give me some examples? How would you describe Maria? So take a moment and think a little, okay? You see, we can present Maria as an undocumented worker or an illegal immigrant, okay? Different words for the same situation depending on how we think of her situation. If we describe Maria as an undocumented worker, we are emphasizing, pay attention to that, we are emphasizing that she is working and contributing to society and the economy. If we say she is an undocumented worker, we are saying that she is working and contributing to the society and our country, the economy of our country, right? The only thing missing is document. She doesn't have the legal document, but she's working hard for our country. That sounds like a bureaucratic issue, okay? Which should be possible to resolve or to get a solution. if we refer to Maria as an illegal immigrant, then we are emphasizing that she is illegal and she should really leave the country as soon as possible according to the laws that we have in our country. So it is different. It is the way we describe the situations. It depends on the ways we say things. I can describe a situation in a positive way, and I can also describe a situation in a negative way. So that's the use of words, the use of language. So that is oratory, right? The way we can convince people to think in a way we want them to think. So people, can you think or can you come up with other examples? Now it's time for you to go to the discussion section on Schoology and give me some examples of this situation. Okay, I want you to write some examples there. Remember, I'm going to see your participation and the different discussion topics that we have. So don't waste time and participate there. So what is the question or what is the issue? You have seen a couple of examples, right? A couple of examples of pairs of words that lead to a different interpretation or reality. What I want is that you can present other examples of this kind of pairs of words. You have to post them in the discussion section. So students, in the next videos, you are going to watch the main characteristics of a good frame, okay? Pay attention to those characteristics because later you are going to develop one pitch or speech in which you have to apply the characteristics, okay? And also in the next videos you'll see the impact of a good frame. What is the impact of a good frame? So if you have to download these videos. If you cannot download the videos, you have to tell me if I can send those videos to you through this group of WhatsApp. So if you have any question about this, please tell me, and I'm going to give you some guidance in order that you can understand this topic very well, because I think it is a very nice topic in which you are going to learn some techniques when you speak, when you are trying to convince the audience, your people, your students, anyone, okay? So continue watching the videos I have prepared for you. So please read the guidelines page. The guidelines page will indicate to you what you have to do in the next in the time we are using for this session.